let's go to the top story today. The Congress's top decision-making body, the Congress Working Committee or CWC, will be meeting at 4 p.m. tomorrow, 3 days after a huge defeat in the state polls. The committee is likely to advance its internal elections scheduled for September right now. Amidst renewed questions about its leadership, the Congress faced a wipeout in the state election results declared on Thursday, losing Punjab, one of the last major states under its control, to the Aam Aadmi Party and failing to put up a strong fight in 3 other states where it had hoped for a comeback. Those are, of course, Uttarakhand, Goa and Manipur. In Uttar Pradesh, where the campaign was led by Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, the party chief Sonia Gandhi's daughter, sister to senior leader Rahul Gandhi, the Congress got just 2 seats out of 403, a loss of 5 over the last polls. Party got just 2.4% of the vote. Meanwhile, having triumphed in Punjab, the Aam Aadmi Party has now set its sights on conquering Himachal Pradesh. Wasting no time to rest on its laurels, the AAP formally announced its plans to contest the Himachal Assembly polls. They say this is to be able to provide an alternative to the common man, to the Aam Aadmi, who AAP says is fed up with both the BJP and the Congress. Assembly elections in Himachal Pradesh are to be held at the end of this year, and Himachal Pradesh is adjacent to Punjab. So, the big question tonight on left, right and centre. Is it Arvind Kejriwal versus Mamata Banerjee versus KCR versus Rahul Gandhi? Who will be the challenger in 2024 now? Who will occupy the leadership position among opposition parties in the run-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha polls? Joining us on the show, we have Supriya Srinath, the national spokesperson of the Congress, Ranveer Singh Pathania, spokesperson of the BJP, Jawahar Sarkar, Rajya Sabha MP of the TMC, Reena Gupta, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, advisor to the government of Delhi, and Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist. Supriya Srinath, first to you. The Congress heading for internal introspection tomorrow with that CWC, but the larger picture, the Aam Aadmi Party's landslide win in Punjab, does that make the AAP the principal engine of an alternative political discourse?
I wish every political party the very best in their political pursuits. We are entitled to be ambitious. And what the AAP has done in West, given it's a border state and with all the security issues there. But to say that the AAP can be a challenger to the BJP nationally and can counter the Congress is a little foolhardy. And I'm not speaking just out of pure plain speaking. I'm speaking with numbers. Look at AAP's vote share in its own assembly elections, and then see what happens in the Lok Sabha every time the AAP has won Delhi. So while they have been, it's been a spectacular win for them in Punjab, and we would have wanted the results to be otherwise. AAP does not so far have experience of any state besides Delhi and no experience with law and order, which is why one is nervous about what will happen in Punjab. I also think to believe that there are about 200 seats in direct contest between the Congress and the BJP, and somebody else can come and replace that is again being foolhardy. With all due respect to what the record here, whether it is Goa, whether it is Uttarakhand, if you see the difference of votes between the Congress and the BJP, and I'm not saying this even for a single minute that people are not entitled. Everybody is entitled to contest elections wherever they want to. But all I'm simply saying is, if you see the difference of votes between the Congress and the BJP, the differential actually rests with the TMC and AAP in Goa and with the AAP.
All right, sorry. We're going to try and come back to Supriya Srinath and let her finish her thought over there. But Madhavan Narayanan, would you agree, because the former law minister Ashwini Kumar says that these election results signal the end game for the Congress to be the opposition's face against Prime Minister Modi? This is a reality check or a disgruntled, bitter former Congress leader?
Two things, Sarah. Happy to be on NDTV after a long time. The thing is that Congress has a lot of people who are well-intentioned, but including Ashwini Kumar, but the important point to remember is that they are not leaders themselves in commanding mass following, nor are they strategists in the sense of coming up with a winning formula in the party. The important thing to remember is that Congress is to quote Jairam Ramesh, a senior Congress leader, is an existential crisis. He has said it in so many words. So at this time, the Congress, in spite of the fact that it's an important in the state of Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh is still in power, in Madhya Pradesh it was almost in power before Mr. Scindia defected. So it is correct to say that Congress, technically speaking, is ahead of the AAP in many ways. But the point is that the Congress has dwindled to the state, but you never say never in politics, because I want to point out to the fact that the BJP in 1984, after the landslide victory of Rajiv Gandhi, was reduced to 3 seats in parliament. And then one would have never imagined it. Even in 2004, after the so-called India Shining campaign, the BJP lost. So you never say never in politics. That is the first rule. Having said that, it's important to not confuse optimism or bravado with analysis. I can consider my friend Supriya Srinet's thing as, putting on what you would call a brave face. But what I would love to hear tomorrow is little stories of fireworks and sparks flying in Congress Working Committee. If it doesn't, there is something terribly wrong with the party.
All right, we'll of course be monitoring the outcome of that CWC
there is no
meet
way this news cannot leak out.
But let's bring in Reena Gupta, then spokesperson of the AAP. All right, we don't have Reena so far. Supriya Srinath, would you like to respond? Is this just bravado right now, when the Congress actually needs to be doing some introspection?
No, absolutely not. I mean, this isn't bravado at all. And I think I got cut off at a very important point. Let me just finish that one point. For Goa, the BJP's vote share was 33%. We were at 23%. But guess what? The TM anti-BJP. That's the same story of the AAP and the BSP in Uttarakhand. Who did they hurt? 7% vote different. They have to decide in broad daylight, are they going to dislodge the BJP by hurting the Congress for their political ambitions, or are we going to really look at an anti-BJP front?
Can we get Supriya to disconnect and reconnect so we can get a stronger line there? Akshay Marathe, go ahead. That question was, the question to you, Supriya Srinath saying, yes, the Aam Aadmi Party getting the momentum right now, but being presumptuous and perhaps preemptive to jump to focus on Himachal and to let that believe that you can be the unifying force across India, to be the face of an opposition front to take on Prime Minister Modi.
Sarah, I think one of the things that the Aam Aadmi Party has on its side, apart from the momentum, is that we have a proof of concept. The people of Punjab saw that there is a Delhi model of governance by Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and believed that model was effective and useful for their state, and gave us a historic mandate. Now, I can tell you this, we contested elections in Gujarat last year in Surat, where we won 27 ward seats and Congress won 0. We contested in Gandhinagar in Gujarat, where us and the Congress had the same vote share. So even in Gujarat now, we are seeing a rise in the Aam Aadmi Party's popularity. We are seeing an organic demand for that same Kejriwal model that the people of Punjab have now endorsed. Similarly, in Himachal, there are elections coming up. Our teams are working in Himachal as well. And we are confident of doing well in that state. Because look, if you look at the party's rise, whether in Delhi or Punjab, there used to be a duopoly of establishment parties. In Delhi, it was Congress and BJP. In Punjab, it is Akali Dal and Congress. And when you have that kind of duopoly that people have tried and tested and become tired of, they look for an alternative, and that alternative now has become viable because they have seen that.
Can you be that national unifying force?
Sarah, Arvind Kejriwal has said this time and again. The national elections are not going to be about arithmetic. They're going to be about which political party or outfit is able to capture the imagination of the people. Before the 2013 Delhi elections, where
So is
AAP
that
won
Arvind
28 seats.
Kejriwal or is that Mamta Banerjee, who was the giant killer after those West Bengal elections?
Look, I am not going to comment on any other political party because right now we are, as a party, working on our own agenda. We are working to expand our footprint. We believe that we have what it takes to expand outside of Delhi and Punjab, go to Gujarat, Himachal. And 2024 is some distance away. I don't want to get into that conversation. I think it's pretty far, but we believe we can replace the Congress in any state where it has been lagging behind, like in Gujarat, like in Himachal, because the Congress is just not able to defeat the BJP. We have seen that in Gujarat for the last 25 years. People want to change the BJP in Gujarat, but the Congress is just not there. It's not available to the people. So I think wherever you see the situation where the Congress is failing to do its job of providing an alternative, the AAP will emerge strong.
All right.
And we are confident of doing that in the next few
Ranbir
years.
Singh Pathania, this Punjab victory gives the AAP the upper hand. It gives them the momentum to emerge as an alternative. It gives them an edge over the Trinamool's Mamta Banerjee, the TRS's Chandrasekhar Rao, to be the natural leader of an opposition front.
First of all, my congratulations to Aam Aadmi Party, and we, with a very all respect and humility at my command, I respect the mandate of the people of the Punjab. Now, the lead question, which is, I think, on the carpet today, which is forming or gluing a national alternative. You see, with the vote divisions, with anti-incumbency, and with certain peculiar conditions on the ground, coming to power for once, that's a separate case. And having a pan-India appeal, having a pan-India acceptance and action-oriented, we could say, an army of Karyakartas and a party network and party-oriented activity, that is something else. So my point remains, only one member of parliament Aam Aadmi Party has in the entire Lok Sabha. And Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is making, we could say, a big boast that now we are the only man to take on the Bharatiya Janata Party. We welcome every healthy competition. We welcome every political party to come on the dais, to contest, to compete with Bharatiya Janata Party on the plank of performance, on the plank of delivery. My very, very humble advice to my learned people from Aam Aadmi Party that, sir, you have been catapulted to power in Punjab just because Congress was in a self-destructive mode. You had a utopian manifesto. You promised 1,000 rupees to every woman. You promised houses to slums. So please deliver. Please focus on deliverance. Don't make such big boasts and all that. They're a very big baggage, we could say, a very big baggage of your utopian, we could say, declaration made in the manifesto that hangs heavy on the shoulders, sir.
But the public, the voters voted for that, what you're calling a utopian ideal. But go ahead, Akshay Marathe, quick response, please.
You know, interestingly, actually in Punjab, the BJP could also have emerged as an alternative. The BJP has never been in power in Punjab. So the people of Punjab had the option of choosing the BJP over the Aam Aadmi Party, but they still picked the Aam Aadmi Party. So this is not the BJP's time to gloat that Aam Aadmi Party won because Congress was in disarray. BJP had put its entire might. Prime Minister Modi had done rallies in Punjab. And the whole party was looking to Captain Amrinder Singh and putting its best foot forward. So it is not that the BJP did not try to defeat Aam Aadmi Party. It is that Aam Aadmi Party effectively sold its agenda better than all other parties. The people trusted Aam Aadmi Party.
All right.
More
Okay.
BJP, Congress.
Supriya Srinath, to you, and then last word to Mr. Narayanan. Supriya, actually, you were giving those numbers. I think the question is, as a BJP guest has pointed out, can you have an all-India, pan-India appeal? Uttarakhand, this hill state where the Congress was hoping for a comeback, or at least a close fight, was the only state where the Congress saw a rise in its vote share.
I don't know if I heard your question in entirety, but if you're asking me about Uttarakhand, those were the numbers I was telling you, that the BJP has a 44% vote share. We have a 37% vote share. But between the AAP and the BSP, they have more than a 7% vote share. Who did they hurt? They actually ended up hurting the Congress, an anti-BJP party. So are they with the BJP in this? If you actually look at the BSP and how Ms. Mayawati transferred all her votes to the BJP, 120 seats, where she affected elections. by putting candidates that favored the BJP, she has a lot to answer today. And she actually goes on record to just blame the Muslims who did not vote for her. Madam, the Dalits deserted you as well.
Many would say the Congress has a lot to answer. That the Congress needs to accept the reality that now they should be a supporting partner to parties like the TMC, to parties like the AAP.
So, Sarah, you are telling me with 23% vote share, we should support a party with 5% vote share, with 37% vote share, we should support a party with 4% vote share. That's bizarre politics because I don't understand.
All right, last word, Mr. Narayanan. Do you think that's bizarre politics or time for the Congress to read the tea leaves?
Sarah,
what are you trying to say?
Let me use an analogy from the hotel management business, where they say that if you studied hotel management, when there is a big crowd at a party in a hotel, even the general manager picks up the plate. So this is the Congress is in that situation where it has to go out of its way to either form coalitions or show some magnificent leadership. To use Akshay Marathe's term, they have to capture back the imagination of the people. And whether we like it or not, the countries, what is common between M.K. Stalin and Mamata Banerjee and Naveen Patnaik and Arvind Kejriwal and Modi and Yogi is that people seem to love energetic personalities in a position of leadership with a sense of delivery. And if Congress can pick someone like this to lead, I still think they can bounce back into the game. But the current leadership doesn't seem to have the attributes that I have mentioned. And Congress they all give suggestions in small chits, like it was an examination in high school where they're trying to copy from each other. What they want is a loud and clear debate, which is happening outside the party, but not inside. And
well, tomorrow's D-Day and there's that CWC meeting taking place tomorrow evening. And of course, we'll be focusing on that. Mr. Narayan, we'll be happy to have you back on, and Supriya Shrinate, of course, as the focus is going to be on that introspection or internal looking inward for the Congress at that CWC meet at 4 p.m. But as the CPI General Secretary D. Raja has said that democratic forces need to unite and mutually accommodate each other for a larger political goal. Right now, is that possible? That's the big question. But thank you all our guests for joining us right now.